welcome back to the 49ers First and 10 podcast. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Briana McDonald. Joining me is 49ers team reporter, Lindsey Polares. In this episode, we are continuing our roster breakdown series leading into training camp. Today, we're taking a closer look at the 49ers defensive line. Last week, we gave updates to the 49ers offensive line, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. So now we're moving on to the other side of the ball and looking at the heart of the Niners defense, the D-line. Lindsey, there's a new leader leading the 49ers defense, Nick Sorenson as defensive coordinator. What have the players said about him, and what's the philosophy he's bringing to the 49ers defense?
Yeah, so Nick Sorenson is someone that we've gotten familiar with over the course of the offseason. He's spent the previous 2 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers, so he's very much a familiar face, and that's something we've heard a lot from the players, whether it's Charvarius Ward or Fred Warner, that it's somebody they're comfortable with. They've already worked with a ton. So he's just kind of stepping into an elevated role. And we heard head coach Kyle Shanahan talk about it at length, that he thought he was ready a year ago, and he feels even better about Nick Sorenson now, and just continues to impress him. Nick Sorenson did speak a little bit over the course of the offseason, talking about the identity that he hopes to implement for the 49ers defense. And it's pretty simple. He wants an attacking defense that plays fast. And I know that that's something that definitely will make the 49ers coaching staff, front office, everyone very happy. I think the defensive philosophy of the Niners is that everything starts up front. I think Nick Sorenson is a really nice complement to that because, again, he's been around, and also as a former NFL safety, former passing game specialist, he has the ability to tie that defensive front and the secondary together, and really just help strengthen that unit. And he's got a lot of new players to work with because the 49ers were very, very active during free agency, especially when it comes to additions on the defensive line, completely revamped that position group.
And faithful listening, here is Nick Sorenson speaking specifically on the Niners D-line at this year's State of the Franchise event.
With the new guys that we have coming in, it's not just, a lot of the same guys that have been here. We brought in some of these, young guys that are really working hard. We've got, bringing in Leonard Floyd, but also Yetur Gross-Matos is right in his, right in that sweet spot of we think he's really going to take off along with Jordan Elliott.
So, Lindsey, what are the biggest changes that have been made to the D-line? Who has left, and who are the new players that are coming in and joining us this year?
Yeah, so probably the biggest departure is Eric Armstead, who was formerly the longest tenured 49er. He's gone on to a new opportunity with the Jacksonville Jaguars. As far as players coming to the building, I think most significant signing of the offseason was Leonard Floyd. Was most recently with the Buffalo Bills, but spent some time with the Rams where he won a Super Bowl ring. One of the more impressive things about him, on top of his football skills, is that he has not missed a game in nearly 6 seasons. That's an incredible feat. To stay healthy in this very, very tough league is something that I think we should definitely shine some light on. But again, comes with a ton of experience and a lot of enthusiasm and familiarity just from playing in the NFC West. He saw a lot of the Niners and now gets to be a part of it. And he's been around during the offseason workout program. You see him chopping it up with Nick Bosa, who he will likely bookend on the D line over the course of this upcoming season. But then you've got additions, Malik Collins, who comes via trade from the Houston Texans, Jordan Elliott, who started his career with the Cleveland Browns. So I think we've got Yetur Gross-Matos as well. He was signed to a 2-year deal formerly with the Carolina Panthers. I think those are the really, really big additions to be on the lookout for in this upcoming season.
Now, with all these new faces in the mix, what could the potential starting line look like? You mentioned Leonard Floyd possibly bookending Nick Bosa, but break down the line. What are you thinking the 2024 D-line looks like?
Yeah, so I'm assuming 4-man front, right? So we've got Leonard Floyd likely on the left. Again, this is totally my opinion. We'll see how it actually plays out, but I think Leonard Floyd likely on the left, and then you're going to have either Malik Collins or Jordan Elliott playing on the interior left side. Then you've got Javon Hargrave, who's spending his second season with the Niners, and then, of course, the 2022 Defensive Player of the Year in Nick Bosa on that right side. But one thing to note, and the 49ers talk about it a lot, is that they like to keep their rotation very fresh. So, having depth on that D line and being able to swap players out over the course of these very physical NFL games and keeping everybody's legs fresh is super important. So you're going to have to see contributions from a Yetur Gross-Matos. And if it's not Malik Collins or if it's not Jordan Elliott, you're going to see them swapping in and out a ton. I think one thing about Yetur Gross-Matos that's really good too is that he can play both on the interior and on the outside. So again, you're going to see shifting positions. You're going to see guys coming in and out. So let's not get too caught up on the starting line, but that's what I potentially see happening there.
Yeah, with nothing set in stone, what are some maybe positional battles we could keep an eye out for during camp?
I mean, I think that interior spot next to Javon Hargrave is definitely one to look at because you've got two experienced guys that can do the job in Jordan Elliott and Malik Collins. Malik Collins has spent more time in the league, but I think Jordan Elliott's time with the Browns, who were the top rated defense last year, is significant. So spending time in that system and bringing that experience over is something to note. But yeah, I think, nothing's ever set in stone. I think, people always surprise you during training camp. So keep your eyes out for Yetur Gross-Matos. I think he's definitely coming hungry. He's a younger player that said he came to San Francisco because he wants to experience that winning tradition. So I think, a lot of motivation in this building. So we'll see how it goes.
Now, Lindsey, take us to the sidelines at the SAP Performance Facility during training camp. What are you most looking forward to watching when you got your eyes on the D-line this summer?
I think I always like watching just like the one-on-ones with offensive linemen. I think it's like a very fun drill to watch during training camp. Because we don't get to watch that during the regular season. So I think just one-on-ones are always super fun to watch. So if you're planning on coming to training camp, don't overlook the defensive linemen and the offensive linemen. I don't think the guys in the trenches ever get enough love. So give them their moment in the sun because they certainly deserve it, and they're very tough, and they are working hard out there.
All right, faithful. That will do it for today. Look out for more 49ers roster breakdown episodes leading up to training camp on First and 10. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to be in the know on all of the latest official 49ers news. Also, turn on the notifications for any breaking news, move the chains updates, and thank you for tuning in.